Yes. Great.
I'm here, sorry, just helping a few folks get sorted.
No worries, you're doing quadruple duty here, Laura.
That's all good. I'm glad it's working out. Just a few minor delays. Okay, do you want me to share my screen or is Sue
Sure.
here? Was she gonna share?
I think we're gonna let you drive if you want.
Okay, perfect. Let me get that up. One moment. Bear with me, my computer's being a tad slow. It's almost there. Okay. Alrighty. Hopefully folks
And
can see my screen
Laura,
okay. Oh, yeah.
if I can help out, I do see the breakout room kind of functionality, so I could put a message into the general chat if people need help being put into breakout rooms. I can try and do that while you're busy presenting.
Oh, great. Thanks, Sarah. That would be so helpful. Can you all see my screen okay? Perfect. All right. So I'm just going to do just a quick kind of lay of the land of what's happening in New West right now. We've got some team changes and updates about our climate action staff here, and so we'll go over who Sarah and I are just a little bit, and then we'll go into some of the things that we're working on. And we do have a few questions for the group as well. So hopefully you all have your thinking caps on or can share some insight that would be really helpful to us, especially since we're new to New West and just trying to get a sense of how things are going. So I think I briefly introduced Sarah and I in like one bullet form in the main session, but just to give you a sense of who we are a little bit. So my name is Laura Samplinger. I'm the manager of climate action at the City of New West. So Sarah and I are both about a month into joining the city, so we're very new. And I just came over from the city of Coquitlam, so I was there for a year and a bit, working on climate and environment initiatives. And previously, I've worked also for the city of Port Moody for about 5 years, and then the city of Kamloops and a few municipalities back in Ontario, where I'm originally from. And so some of the key things that I've been a part of in the past are helping with Energy Step Code implementation in other communities, working on getting zero carbon step code up and implemented ahead of the provincial schedules. And I was also a previous member of the Energy Step Code Council representing local governments. So that was a fun experience. And then, Sarah, maybe I'll pass it over to you if you want to give a brief introduction of yourself as well.
Sure. So hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Maleska. I'm the Community Energy and Emissions Specialist at the City of New West. I have one municipal government experience at the Township of Langley, where I worked for 4.5 years. I spent my first 2 years on the Green Buildings team and then the rest of my time on the sustainability team. My most applicable experience was on the Green Buildings team. I was a technical assistant on the team and I helped us get kind of our Builder Forum series. I really kind of ramped that up. I helped with the administration of that, like professional credits, so like CPD credits and all that kind of stuff. Um, I also helped with a demonstration home. So we had a step code demonstration home back in 2019 that was built. And so I did events with builders and also realtors at that location. And I also did a lot of stuff on the retrofit side. So new construction with Energy Step Code, but also on the retrofit side. Kind of promoted heat pumps and that kind of stuff. So I'm excited to learn the what's going on in New West. I've actually lived in New West for the past 5 years, so I'm local, which is awesome, and just hoping to help you all out and get our homes in New West to be the best they can be. So thanks, everyone. Oh, you're muted, Laura. Sorry.
Thank you. Sorry. Yeah, thanks for the intro, Sarah. That's great. And I should just mention briefly as well that while Sarah and I are new to the team, we also have another member who's actually newer than us, who's on our corporate file. So his name's Patrick. He's our corporate energy and emissions specialist. And we're also hiring for a couple of new positions that will be joining us hopefully by the end of this year. So our team is really ramping up in capacity and supporting climate action initiatives across both the community and with our own corporate portfolio as well. So we're growing, and if you have any questions about that, we're happy to answer them. And just to kind of highlight a few things about what our team is working on, mostly specific to what this group is probably most interested in. So we've got some projects, or Sarah is kind of working on this one of defining, what is a low carbon energy system and what does that actually mean when we're implementing requirements, and what kinds of things are we going to be looking for, asking for as a city, and what that actually means to the builder and developer community. We're also, as Sarah mentioned, looking to support step code compliance, both energy and zero carbon, and then also, build up our internal capacity to provide some more support, but also make sure that we have a good understanding and clear, expectations about what we're looking for when we're doing compliance. And as Sarah mentioned, again, we're also looking to support this group. What can we do better to ensure that you all are successful in complying with the new requirements, or what other supports even beyond the requirements are you looking for, or that would be really helpful to ensure that the buildings that you're working on in your projects are really high performing, and that you have all the supports available to you. One of the other projects that, again, these are all kind of on Sarah's portfolio. You're doing a lot, Sarah. Is establishing non-residential EV ready requirements for new construction. So we've already got that in place for residential buildings to essentially provide the electrical capacity and infrastructure in for EV ready requirements. But we're looking to that for the non-residential sector. And there's a couple of communities who've done this already. So really, pulling from best practices that have been done in any other communities. So also looking, for some feedback at some point on this as well. If you have early thoughts, feel free to share those with us today. But otherwise, we'll probably be having some more sessions and info on that coming. And then lastly, we're participating as an organization in building Benchmark BC, which is a voluntary benchmarking program. And we're looking to encourage other community building owners to, sign up for this, participate, and get access to some really great data on how your buildings are performing once they're built, and being able to disclose that and share and compare against other similar buildings that can really help you reduce emissions if you're a building owner. So yeah, that's kind of the highlights of what we're working on over the next, I guess, until the end of the year, and then we can come back and tell you what's on the docket for next year. And with that, maybe I'll move into some of the questions. Or does anyone have any burning questions right off the bat about who we are, what we're doing? Feel free to raise your hand or to just speak up. I don't know if I can see everyone's faces. No burning questions. Okay, cool. All right, so we've got a couple questions, and Ryan, Sue, Sarah, please keep me on track if I'm not flowing through these in a good amount of time. But the first one is, just to help Sarah and I out, as I mentioned, a million times, we're new, so we're just trying to get a sense of how things are going. And if anyone has any experiences to share on building to either of the step codes, or including EV charging in their projects, how are things going? Do you have any, key challenges that you're experiencing, or, really great successes that you want to highlight? We'd love to hear about how things are going in general. And specifically, we're interested in New West, but if you have experience in other communities that is parallel to this, then please feel free to share as well. So I'll open up the floor if anyone wants to start us off.
Hey, I can speak to a couple of those things. I'm Barb from Capture Energy, so we're energy advisors, and also I have two projects enrolled with the zero energy emissions projects for low for embodied carbon study. So step code, I think, is pretty, I think everyone's really comfortable with that now. It's just the challenges as, builders and designers are moving to the higher steps, helping them with that transition. But the zero carbon step code and just embodied carbon in general is really still very new for a lot of people. And it's also just, in its kind of infancy. So there's still, when we're trying to come up with, the embodied carbon calculations, there's still a huge number of assumptions that we're making. And there's still not a ton of information available for some of the materials that we're trying to trace. So I would say that, there's a lot more challenges there than what there is with energy step code. And then in terms of your question about the EV charging, it is in a lot of our projects now, people are adding this. And I would say the one main thing about that, and just in projects in general, as they go to the higher performance levels and are going all electric, is just not just to do the F280 heat load calculations, but also very early on in design, do the electric calculations as well, because it's been a challenge to find space for everything in terms of electricity. That's what I got.
That's super helpful. Thanks. Oh, sorry, Ryan, you were gonna jump in.
Yeah, I was gonna say good comments, Barb, and hold your thought on the embodied carbon thing for like 3 more slides.
Yeah, got some specific questions about that, but that's good to know. Yeah, and yeah, there's some definitely with electrification being more prominent, it's how do we think more holistically about the buildings and what their future energy needs are going to be, and how do we support that? So yeah, thank you for sharing that. Anybody else have any comments?
Good or bad, we want to hear them all. So
Yeah.
please don't feel shy. There's only about, I think, 28 of us in this room. And I don't think we're not sharing, even though it said this part is recording, we're actually not going to be sharing this part. So I think that was just left over.
Okay, this is Henry Hitendra. Like I'm an owner builder, and I'm planning to build. Like I've been planning to do this building for like a couple of years now. Ryan knows it. Unfortunately, the pandemic and everything went haywire. So, like going back to the energy efficient and more EV, like understanding what the what you call the premier has decided that like more density added to the each lot and building and stuff, and the newest is not big, and also newest got their own utility company. So are you guys has a new plan or 10-year plan to how to accommodate? Because what you have, maybe I don't know what size it is, but what you have now, maybe in 10 years, where like it was single family dwelling, now like it's 4 blocks, 2 blocks. And have you done any studies on those?
Yeah, thanks, Henry, for the question. So are you looking at more the electricity supply and distribution
Exactly.
portion
For
of
the
it? Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I think those processes are underway right now. And again, I'll caveat I'm new and don't have all the answers. But I believe, we're subject to, our own utility commission here in New West. So we have to complete, long-term forecasting of our supply, but we're also going to be thinking about, what kind of upgrades does that mean in certain neighborhoods where we might have older infrastructure that, couldn't support even more increased supply coming in. So that's a part of what's happening and what the, our planning and utility staff are working on right now with the new legislation coming out. It's all, happening really quickly. So they're working on that planning portion right now. So I don't
Sounds
have an answer about, what exactly that looks like and, what neighborhoods and things are going to be prioritized or going to be upgraded first or anything like that. But I know that there is some planning underway right now.
good to hear that.
Yeah. Any other thoughts, comments?
Hey, it's Raj.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I just kind of now been building these step code houses for probably 4 or 5 years now, step code 4 and higher. Just got to really tell people to really plan it really well. Kind of Barb said it as well, like having enough power come in your house to solve your hot water issues is probably the biggest thing that gets a lot of people. And by the time you start thinking about that kind of stuff and you're already halfway through building, you're gonna have problems and not have enough power and stuff. So just it's really important to plan what you're gonna do, how you're gonna insulate it, how much power you need, what type of hot water system you're going with, and heating and cooling. And doing a proper electrical load calculation is probably one of the first things that we start doing, looking at on how we're gonna work with this house, how work with any particular house.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot. I guess a mind shift sort of, it sounds like, into thinking about that stuff up front, before you even get into like the detailed design, really.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well,
I
that's
have a,
good.
a question for you, Raj. Do you know what kind of like these, are you building all electric homes or like close to all electric homes? And what kind of like amperage are you looking at? Like, is it like a 200 amp service? Like,
Yeah, so I think in US and like Burnaby and stuff, I know you can only get like 200 or 400. So it's very challenging. I don't know why I'm not very technical on that side of the street pole side. I don't know why we can't get like 300 or 350. Costs obviously go up quite a bit when you go to 400. Larger service. Sometimes you might need to put one of those transformers on your yard just to get more power there. So just added costs. And then in terms of what we've been doing for power wise, it's kind of been like a bit of a hybrid right now. We're slowly fading out of gas. Like our top 2 floors will do a heat pump, and maybe just the basement will just do a on-demand boiler, maybe just radiant floor heating for the basement, as you don't need cooling down there. So a lot of houses are like that. Some clients still want radiant, and I keep telling them it's a waste of money, but they insist they want it. So all depends on the client too, what they want. So it's kind of all over the map. But I've been pushing people, if you're already running ducting in your house for AC, why not throw some heat through there as well and heat the whole house with it? So
Yeah.
that's just my take.
that's really good to know. And I guess um, our team is if I don't know, Laura I don't know what I can say or cannot say, like just what department we're in.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay, yeah. So
We've shifted.
yeah, so the climate team is moved from the planning department to under the electrical utility department. Laura and I are still trying to figure out exactly, I think, what that means, but I think that's a good thing
Yeah.
for
I saw your new
this kind of
office.
stuff. Yeah, so I think we're going to be pretty well connected with the electrical utility, and this is obviously a great thing with the zero carbon step code. That we're at either EL1 with step 5 of the energy step code or EL4 with, I think that's step 3. I just have it open on my computer. Yeah, step 3 of the energy step code, EL4 of the zero carbon step code effective January 1st, 2024. So I think, yeah, it's great that we're a part of the utility team now.
Nice.
Yeah, great comments. Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Raj. I don't know if you have anything else too that you wanted to add.
Not on top of my head right now.
Fair enough. Okay, well, with that, maybe we'll move on to the next question. Um, Okay, so I think we're kind of curious to know what supports and resources do you all need to be successful or to comply with any of the new requirements. And we made this slide specific to energy and zero carbon step code, but if there's other things that you're kind of grappling with, it could be on the utility side perhaps, or with EV charging requirements, things like that, like please feel free to share that with us, because we're curious to know how we can really support you and what you need, because there's a lot happening in the space of other people coming in and providing training or providing funding and that kind of thing, but we're trying to figure out what the gap is, like what are you really looking for that you're not getting elsewhere, or that's specific to New West perhaps. Don't all jump in at once.
Yeah, and don't make me call some of you out by name.
We're just going to assume we're doing a really great job if no one says anything.
Is the next question on the embodied carbon piece?
Yeah. Oh, so sorry, we have a cooling one first, and
Oh,
then
okay.
yeah. And just a caveat too, like these supports can be, maybe you just need a staff person that's like a key contact to get information from. Maybe you need some additional funding for a specific element of your building process, or maybe you need a guidebook or a resource or, anything. It could be totally anything.
Yeah.
Or we just need to do a better job of like communicating what our requirements are or anything at all.
I mean, we will be refreshing this year our step code technical bulletins. We were one of the first to publish those at a municipalities, but they are they're out of date a little bit with some of the information and requirements and just the where the industry is at now in terms of systems, tools, and processes. So that'll be one area where we want to get a little bit more consistent on. But yeah, if there are any sort of needs that folks have had, as Laura's saying, whether it's incentive based or service based or technical based, we're looking for ideas as well from the city and program standpoint.
I think a bulletin put out that's sort of aimed, targeted more to the clients so that they understand what the requirements are, like whether they can have a gas fireplace or a gas stove and those kind of pieces would be helpful.
Right. So something that the designer and the builder community could reference versus you guys having to communicate it on behalf of the city.
Yeah.
That's what you're going at. Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Thanks, Nancy.
What else? Something related to like coming on site and checking HVAC mechanical work or something. Like since we don't inspect it, there's no guidance around it. It's kind of like, hey, come throw some tin around here and get it all installed.
Yeah, okay, that's an interesting one.
Because I know, like, I think Kelowna and stuff actually has a proper inspection they require, and Ryan might know better than I do. Like, how come we don't have checks and balances for something that we're relying on more and more for heating and cooling?
Yeah. Sorry, Laura, go ahead.
No, you start, Ryan.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Raj, I think you'll see a natural evolution and progression amongst all municipalities in this area. Like again, City of Vancouver is kind of leading the way. They now have a heat pump permit. They've been staffing up capacity to do more compliance and verification, both on load calculations up front and actual installation. New West, yes, definitely isn't kind of there at the same level of evolution yet. But I think in a matter of time, you'll see more of that, probably starting with load calculations and then getting into the field sort of assessments beyond just looking at, is the boilerplate on, or is the nameplate on the equipment match the BC compliance report? Like it'll actually be like, is there a duct design? Was that design submitted at building permit, and are they actually implementing that when but that's a little bit further away at this point.
I mean, just we do that for radiant floor heating, right? So it only makes sense if we're going to do more heat pumps to do the same type of thing, right?
Yeah. Changing systems and processes though take time.
Yeah, we have to build up the capacity and get people on staff who are able to actually inspect those systems and know what they're looking at and know what to look for.
Exactly. It's both on the industry and the internal side. It's they got to be going together a little bit.
Yeah, but I agree with Ryan. I think it's heading in that direction. It's just a matter of we need a little bit of time to get there.
Totally. Okay, well that was a good suggestion, Nancy, on the tools.
Yeah. Any other supports and resources? And if you think about something afterwards too, because I recognize we're putting people on the spot, please feel free to send us an email. Our email is going to be on the last slide, so you can submit your thoughts afterwards. Okay, not hearing anything else. We'll move on to the next one. So we're looking to understand a little bit, with the new cooling requirements coming out for one room in the dwelling units, and it not necessarily being tied to like a performance or prescriptive, and you have the option to do, sorry, passive or active cooling. We're kind of just wondering, are you thinking about more providing cooling on the mechanical side, or are you looking at more of the passive measures? And if you are designing to cool one room, or if it just makes more sense to cool the whole unit, or how is that kind of shaking out, or has anyone gotten to that point?
I am personally very curious on this. Like
Yeah.
the refuge room.
Yeah.
We installed PV panels a few homes.
I think it'd be great to be able to use the passive cooling measures more, because a lot of
Yeah.
people sort of gravitate to that anyway. But I mean, in urban settings, your orientation is so critical and makes it very difficult in most situations.
Hmm.
And I mean, if you're putting in heat pumps and steering towards that anyways, like you already have whole home cooling at your fingertips. Like I would steer clear of single room activity. And we've actually been chatting with the province, our firm and HVAC Designers of Canada, about the additional guidance that's needed in terms of compliance with um, one refuge room, like how many people for how long, what's the ventilation being used. Like there was not a lot of technical, and then who's responsible, who picks the room, like all of these things are missing. Like and really the application of this is only in specific situations. So but for like single family detached homes, whole home cooling and obviously applications of heat pumps is the way to go. um you know so I would hope that folks are embracing that instead of trying to figure out, well, what's the refuge room, because it doesn't make a lot of sense.
One comment on the passive cooling measures. I think also it's depending who you're working with as your energy advisor. Like one thing with the software that we use, it's not great at kind of showing what the passive cooling measures are compared to like if you're using PPHP, like the passive house software, where you can really kind of dial that in. So I think a lot of times we're dealing more with just the mechanical, and because I think we still have so many challenges between what we're getting from our step code reports as the block load for the heating and cooling, and we also know that our software isn't as accurate on the cooling side. I think the focus is really still there and kind of getting that better aligned with what's coming from the F280 reports. And I don't really see on any of our projects, or very many of our projects, where we're working with architects or designers that we're really even having a discussion around passive cooling at this time.
So Hot 2000 doesn't account for any sort of passive cooling measures.
Well, it kind of does in that, like we can't really, how do I say it? So we do, like, we do put in like, overhangs, like what the overhangs are and things like that, but it's not nearly as detailed as
it's not as sophisticated.
That's a design now.
Right.
Interesting.
Right.
Yeah, especially like it's not easy to see, like to Nancy's point about orientation, what if we do this on this side, like what are the results? It's very difficult to give, or it's difficult, and it's also difficult to do it quickly. So then it ends up being like a lot of time spent modeling for not a great result.
That's good to know. Interesting. Any other thoughts on passive active cooling?
I can pipe in here a little bit.
Nice.
Building a new house in New West, step code 5 building. And the main house has a heat pump, so obviously cooling capacity there, mechanical cooling. Basement suite also has a smaller heat pump with a mini split system that services kind of the main room in the basement suite, and not the bedrooms themselves, but just the living room, kitchen area. So just dividing it that way.
Nice.
It's good. All right, I guess we've only got a few minutes left. Should I get onto the next one, or sorry, Ryan, you were gonna?
No, sure. That sounds good. Yeah, we've only got a couple minutes. I think this was where we were gonna get some input on the. Yes. Okay. Okay. So over the past year and a half, 2 years, I guess, we had Chris Magwood, who's one of the real scholars in embodied carbon, present on that topic, as well as we had Elizabeth Botono present at our fall builder breakfast. And similar to the approach that we took prior to step code being implemented, where we made services and incentives available to kind of like prep the market for potential requirements that were coming. We want to take we want to evaluate the opportunity for taking a similar approach when it comes to embodied emissions, because a lot of it is about the operational emissions. So Barb was talking about this right now, and it's more sort of like new space. And so the idea here is to do some piloting with some select projects where the city and Energy Save New West could support with getting a baseline understanding of what does the embodied emissions look like for the types of houses that we're building right now. So what we wanted to do was kind of to poll this group to see whether that would be something that would be of interest, where we could do an incentive and some support with builders. And if you have a project coming up that you think would be a good candidate, and would like to collaborate on it. So again, don't make me call you guys out by name, but you must have some projects coming up. Nobody has a project where they would want to get a very, availability of some services to do an inventory of their embodied carbon on their project. Nancy, you're not designing anything. Raj, you don't have one in the hopper.
It's more about whether the client would be agreeable.
Why would they be concerned?
Because both of them are kind of more spec buildings. I mean, I think they're gonna try to get them a little higher, but I talked to them about it.
Yeah, I mean, the intent is not to influence the selection of the materials at this point. It's more to get an understanding of, okay, we're requiring these houses to be built at a certain level from a performance standpoint and the operational carbon. What's the recipes that folks are using in City of New Westminster to get there, and how does that look on the embodied carbon registry? So it's really about awareness right now and information gathering.
Okay.
Like it's not about like we want you to select this insulation material because it's better than this one. That's not what this is about. Right now it's really about like helping to familiarize and orient people within our local building industry about what's the process for doing this, what are the types of services that are available. I know Barb and Capture Energy, they do this, they provide this type of support to builders, and how can you utilize that both from a business perspective and then from where future requirements and things might come later. But right now it's about getting a
baseline.
Yeah, baseline. Exactly, Nancy.
Ryan, I might have a duplex starting right across the city work yard there. So
all right.
So we can
I will text you.
Yeah.
Oh, Ryan, just add to it, like ZEBEX and CLF, the Carbon Leadership Forum, there is, I think they have room for about 2 more projects, and there is additional funding there, like in addition to what I think the City of New West would be able to
on part
support.
9?
2. I think that, yeah, up to 2. So,
Okay.
yeah, I was just at a session about that yesterday.
Oh, awesome.
And it, you know, and if anyone has any questions about like what, I don't want to take up too much time, but if anyone just wants to talk about like what's involved from the designer or architect perspective or from the builder's perspective, like what, how much time and effort this is going to take, I can kind of speak to them about that. But
Yeah.
it's really, really new.
Yeah. And we'd like to combine this with EA service and mid-stage blower door testing, because if you have one single source doing, all the measure up and material coordination and stuff like that, it's a lot more
Yeah.
efficient. So
Yeah, 100%. It kind of fits naturally into what we do
what do you guys
anyhow.
do?
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, I know we're at time. That's good. We got a couple leads here. But we would yeah, you'll hear more about this. We're just trying to formulate an idea right now for a support to get us a better baseline on this specific topic area, because we've done 2 sessions on awareness and now we want to actually do some stuff in the community. So please reach out. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead, Laura.
No, that's great. Yeah, and I'll just say quickly, yeah, thank you so much for the conversation. This is great learnings, and it's great to meet all of you, and I hope to see you, at a future Builder Breakfast session. In the meantime, if you have any thoughts on any of the questions, please feel free to reach out. Our emails are there, or it's easy. You can just climateaction@newwestcity.ca. And then Ryan's contact is there as well, because Ryan, you're a great resource. So yeah, thank you everybody so much, and really appreciate all the conversation and learnings together. And I don't know, Ryan or Sarah, if you have any final thoughts.
Raj, we've got our application into BC Housing on the CPD points. We'll let you know, and we'll send out to everybody who attended the sort of notification, so you can file that. So don't worry, it's in progress.
Thanks.
The only last thing I would say is we'll see you in the fall. We'll have the next one in the fall. We'll work on topics and agenda. So we may poll some folks to see what they would like to see, but you know how to reach us if you have some ideas. But appreciate everybody coming out today. Sarah, you good?
Oh, I'm good. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Have a good Canada Day long weekend, everybody.
Yeah, a great one. Thank you
Bye,
all.
See everybody
everyone.
again soon. Bye.
Bye.